Today, let's talk about the sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines and who is responsible. The explosions concerning Nord Stream pipelines have turned into a detective game, and we don't know who the good guys or the villains are. However, Pulitzer Prize-winning U.S. journalist Seymour Hersh's article, How America Took Out the Nord Stream Pipeline, broke the silence. Let's look at this incident today, and here are all the key knowns and unknowns. I'm Sina. Welcome to Facts Tell. When I read the article, I was literally wowed. It's a long article, about 10 to 15 pages, but it is worth reading. I strongly recommend that you take a look for yourself. Before diving into this article, let's hear from Hersh himself.
Legendary reporter Seymour Hersh is here with us today to talk about his bombshell report on who blew up Nord Stream. His report pointing fingers at the U.S. involvement in the destruction of the pipeline. He says the CIA blew it up and lied about it, and he's here with us to expand on his reporting and respond to criticisms. Great to see you, Mr. Hersh. Thank you so much.
Sure. Let's start with my criticism about what you just said. I didn't say the CIA lied about it. I said the White House, the President of the United States and the White House is lying about it, but that's okay. Both of them.
Wow. So now in the article, Hersh claims to have spoken to a source with direct knowledge of operational plans by the U.S. security services to use deep-sea divers to damage the pipeline. This was also agreed by Columbia University professor Jeffrey Sachs.
Frankly, it's been obvious from the start. This was not an easy operation to carry out. It's the kind of operation that the CIA and other covert parts of the U.S. government do carry out rather routinely, by the way. They blow up lots of infrastructure over time, try to keep it hidden. But it was hard to keep this one hidden because the United States was basically the only country with the motive, the means, and rather remarkably, having announced beforehand that the intention was to end Nord Stream.
And this is the announcement beforehand that Professor Sachs was talking about.
There will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Wow, does that mean President Biden eventually fulfill his promise? Now, according to Hersh, his source said in on top-level meetings chaired by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, which were attended by representatives from the President's Office, the CIA, and the State and Treasury Departments to deliberate on how to destroy the Nord Stream projects as early as 2021. So that's like long before Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out. Regarding the operational plan itself, Hersh alleges, with the help of a NATO ally Norway and the knowledge of Swedish and Danish officials, the U.S. used the military alliance Botops 22 drills as cover to plant C4 explosives along the pipelines. The charges, he claims, were detonated with sonar 3 months later. It is clever, isn't it? Planting something 3 months before detonation is like a time bomb with an exceptionally long fuse. If I were the pipeline, I would freak out within a week, watching a bomb ticking on my body. Those pipelines must be tough to last for 90 days. And now let's talk about Russia. Right after the attacks, Russian President Vladimir Putin said this: "The sanctions were not enough for the Anglo-Saxons. They move on to sabotage. It is hard to believe, but it's a fact that they organized the blasts on Nord Stream international gas pipelines." After the publication of Hersh's article, Russia began talking to the UN about conducting an independent investigation. This is what Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nebenza told the UN Security Council in February. There was no doubt about the motive of the crime, nor its perpetrator, nor the way in which the crime was committed. This is even more than the smoking gun that all American detectives dream of finding in Hollywood blockbusters. I mean, I really like this expression. I think this guy really knows about Hollywood movies. Nebenza also said they were not here to set up a trial in the Security Council. Instead, they are presenting a request for an independent investigation due to doubts about integrity and transparency of Denmark, Germany, and Sweden in their ongoing inquiries. First of all, none of these three countries has a good relationship with Russia, yet they are really good friends with America. Germany, for example, is one of the US's closest and strongest allies in Europe. Denmark, it is also a strong NATO ally. And the US claims they have long enjoyed a close and mutually beneficial relationship. Sweden also maintained a strong bilateral friendship with the US, while being an enhanced opportunity partner, EOP of NATO. So this makes total sense, right? Russia wants some answer about Nord Stream sabotage, and Germany, Denmark, and Sweden would be among the least favorable countries to conduct the investigations. It's like if I sue somebody, yet the judge is a good friend of the defendant. What am I going to do? Wait to lose? That's why Russia is urging the UN to conduct an inquiry into the matter. Okay, let's talk about the US for a minute. They're like, nah, we don't want the UN to look into this. Russia just wants to change the subject, and they're saying Russia is abusing their position by bringing up this internet conspiracy theories. But hold up. If it's all just a conspiracy theory, then why not let investigation happen? Why not let people get to the bottom of this? The US Ambassador John Kelly is also like, no way, we didn't do it. These accusations are completely false. And he's saying the UN resources should not only be used when states are unwilling or unable to investigate themselves. But Russia doesn't think the current inquiries are impartial. So what now? You might start to wonder why the US acting all suspiciously and trying to block investigations. Here's one reason Hirsch gave us.
The worry we always had about Russia, always with its great resources of natural gas, they have they just have tons of it, gas and oil, and the worry was that Russia was weaponizing this gas. It was using it to get leverage in Western Europe and Germany, and that was always something that was problematical for us. We wanted to keep Russia from having energy power.
The energy weapon. So what the US wants to do is take away Russia's energy weapon. But the thing is, it's not an energy weapon at all. It's trading. Germany buys gas from Russia, Russia buys things from Europe, and the US is selling things to Germany. But there are people in the US portraying trade as dependence.
Not so much, except if you're planning to make an enemy of this counterpart. So we now consider trade completely militarized in general. I acknowledge, I think the whole view of trade has changed among these US neocons. Now it's all called dependency, and you can't even trade with China anymore. That's dependency. So yes, if you view the world in a zero-sum struggle for who's on top, then yes, this looked like a wrong idea. If you view the world as Russia's trying to sell something, Germany's trying to have a competitive international economy, then no, I don't buy it.
See? In a statement, September 2022 statement from U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he says it's a tremendous opportunity to once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy and thus to take away from Vladimir Putin the weaponization of energy as a means of advancing his imperial designs. But let's admit it. Trade is not dependence, it's just trade. But once it is viewed as a weapon, the US won't let others to have it. It wants to control the weapon itself. So when it comes to geopolitical issues, there's always one golden rule. Follow the money. Let's look at American energy market, with US liquid and natural gas exporters boosting shipments to Europe by more than 137% in 2022 compared to 2021. Now we know who is making the big money. Let's check out the plaintiff. From Russia's point of view, they're freaking out about the national security and all that jazz. The Nord Stream pipelines are like their babies. It's like the ultimate way for Russia to trade energy with Europe and keep their diplomacy strong. Plus, losing it would be a huge blow to their bank account. Bear in mind, 50% stake in the Nord Stream pipelines is owned by Gazprom, a majority Russian state-owned company. We're talking about one of the country's largest taxpayers, and nobody in Russia gonna mess with that. So why on earth would Russia blow up its own pipelines and suffer all these losses? I mean, zero benefits, man. That's why they want the truth, and the UN Security Council should totally give them a chance to figure it out. Yet the current situation is Sweden and Denmark just couldn't find the answer. It's like if you don't trust the judge, you want to change them up, right? So why can't we do the same here? Let's get someone else to find out what's really going on. Now, Hirsch's article has done an example, and many people actually believe him.
I would say establishment media do not like to hear what Mr. Hirsch has to say. They did not like it when he revealed the massacre at My Lai in Vietnam. They didn't like many of his other stories, and they turned out to be true. Sometimes you have to wait a while. But meanwhile, you look at the credibility of that reporter against the credibility of those who criticize him. And on this case, Cy Hirsch wins hands down.
And you know what's weird about all this is that all the Western mainstream media seems silent on this matter, and Hirsch himself is not surprised at all.
As you know, I'm not telling anybody that knows. There's Fox News and the New York Post and other papers like that. And then there's the Washington Post and the New York Times. Actually, neither one of those papers mentioned my story. It's been out for a couple of weeks. I'm telling you, I'm getting massacred by calls from overseas on it. I mean, I really am. 350, 400 emails today, half of them from overseas news outlets. It's different there. I think the Washington Post, I'm told, I haven't seen it, had a story today for the first time mentioned what I did in the controversy. There was a Security Council meeting about this yesterday. And the New York Times hasn't mentioned it yet. I see what's going on, the polarization of the press that didn't exist. I joined the Times in '72 because, and there was no question about what I could do. It's the halcyon days. It's different now. And no, I never thought of approaching either paper because I didn't think they would publish it.
So, 400 emails a day, yet no cost from US mainstream medias, huh? The whole thing looks like a mystery, but a manufactured one really, with some people wanting the answers and some people not. But what we really need is an open and fair investigation that could give us the truth. We need truth, not secrets, and we need peace and trade, not barriers and conflicts. Alright, that's for today. Thanks for watching. If you like our show, remember to click like and subscribe. I'm Sina. Until next time.